On stage, Rob. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Our apologies for the slight delay. We're just experiencing a bit of a difficulty connecting with our streaming audience overseas, and we're busy migrating people onto a second platform so that everyone who wants to can tune in. We'll start about 5 minutes from now, so if you'll just bear with us for a few more minutes. Thanks so much.
In different corners of the world, the fate of patients suffering from leukemia started a movement, a community of people committed to one cause: fighting blood cancer.
When a person is diagnosed with blood cancer, thalassemia or sickle cell anemia, often the only hope to survive is a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor.
Because every person's genetics is so different that to find your matching genetic donor, that donor could then come from anywhere in the world. Our goal is to recruit as many donors of diverse ethnicity that are committed to helping a patient in need from anywhere in the world.
That's why I'm so happy to welcome South Africa in our international DKMS family.
So in 1999, the Sunflower Fund was founded. It was really a movement of parents whose children were diagnosed with leukemia. Two very specific children, Darren Cerebro and Chris Corlett. And in actual fact, when Chris was in hospital for treatment, he drew a beautiful painting of sunflowers called Sunflowers of Hope. And that inspired his mom, Tina, who is the founder of the Sunflower Fund and also the inspiration behind our name.
These origin stories of our organizations is exactly the reason why we are the perfect match. The story of DKMS began 30 years ago. Unfortunately, Mechthild Haaf was diagnosed with leukemia, and she was told that the only treatment would be the stem cell transplant of an unrelated donor. Unfortunately, there was no genetic twin. And this was the reason why Peter Haaf, her husband, decided to found the DKMS. Every 27 seconds, a patient is diagnosed with blood cancer or other blood disorders.
So we'd like to recruit as many donors with a vast genetic diversity to register as donors.
When Alana and I met first in November 2019, we knew from the scratch that we are the perfect partners to go for our mission.
We're talking about a partnership that has such a rich history of awareness and education in their country and recruiting large numbers of donors. We've seen amazing successes over a very short period of time during a global pandemic.
With DKMS Africa, we go the next milestone.
To join a group that shares the same passion and commitment that we do for donor recruitment and to service patients, it's such an encouragement to continue to do what we do.
And for me, this means we come nearer and nearer to my personal mission that in 2030, we will have 20 million donors in our registry, and we will be operating in 20 countries. That's my dream.
It is the most phenomenal journey, and although we came into this partnership with great expectations, we definitely didn't think we would see the reality of it as quickly as we have for patients.
What a welcome. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for this hugely significant celebration. I think a few of us in the room are feeling quite overawed that we're finally here after all the work that has gone into building up to this moment. And I want to say particular thanks to you all for being here today. It's my first in-person function in over a year, and it was so wonderful to hear the buzz of voices outside, to see people coming together, and how appropriate that it starts with a celebration, because that is what today is all about, celebrating this gigantic step in the life of the Sunflower Fund. You know, the events of the past year might have physically divided us from one another, but at the same time, they've really, I think, made us realize how interconnected we all are and how interconnected our world is, and that the solutions to our problems can lie in looking beyond our own borders and thinking global, and how appropriate that that is what drives what we are celebrating today. There is no better demonstration of seeing a proudly South African-born organization stepping up like this to join hands with an international network that is going to amplify and magnify the chances of life for patients who are in need of hope. So today, the Sunflower Fund officially becomes DKMS Africa. And over the course of the morning, we'll be sharing some insights with you into what that means and a little bit more on the significance that that holds for patients. But thank you all so much for giving of your time to be here. My name is Pippa Hudson. It is such an honor for me to be here. Alana and the team, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of the event. I've worked as a radio professional for about 25 years, and I was witness to the birth of the Sunflower Fund. Chris Corlett's story was one of the first stories I covered as a new journalist in Cape Town in 1999. And as we've watched it grow and been part of recruitment drives and events and interviews, the sort of theme throughout for me has always been that this is an organization that represents hope and resilience. And hope and resilience are two qualities the world really needs right now. So I think it is so fitting that we celebrate an event of this kind at this time. Alana mentioned in that video the success that they've enjoyed during the pandemic, and I just want to elaborate a little bit on what she means by that. When they first partnered with DKMS about a year ago, or a little bit more than that, that was the beginning of what leading up to what we have today. But over the course of 2020, 9,000 additional donors were recruited to our South African donor database. While the world was in lockdown, while everybody else was focused on their own problems and really magnified problems all over the world, where NGOs were shutting down, were struggling to keep afloat, this one is not just surviving, but thriving. And really that is the reason why today is such a celebration for us. So a few points of housekeeping before we get stuck into the meat of the day. For those of you wanting to tap into Wi-Fi and tweet about this and celebrate the news that we're sharing today, the Wi-Fi password is HOPE if you log on through the conference center. We'd love it if you did share the news now that it is officially broken. If you would like to tweet, the new Twitter tag is at DKMS_Africa if you'd like to share the news of this momentous event. Few other bits of housekeeping. Bathrooms are out the doors and to your left. Parking tickets can be swapped for a stamped one at reception as you leave at the end of the event. We are observing COVID protocols. As you'll see, the tables are well spaced, as is the seating, and we would ask you please to keep your masks on, even though those of us up on stage don't have them because of the microphones. We'll be keeping our distance from one another, and we would really appreciate it if you did the same. There will be a lunch served at the end of the event at the back of the room, and you'll see that there are 2 stations set up which are identical, so we'll divide the traffic, and we'd ask you please just to go table by table so we can keep our distancing in place through the lunch as well. The welcome is extended not only to those of you joining us in the room today, but also those joining us on the virtual stream, particularly to the DKMS family in Germany and beyond, and to all the friends of the Sunflower Fund, now DKMS Africa, who are joining us online today. We are so pleased that you're able to be part of this event as well. At this point, I want to call on our first speaker, Alana, who you've just seen in that video, who has led the transition that we're celebrating today. And Alana's been at the helm of this organization for a little over 5 years now, and she came from a corporate background and made the transition from business into the nonprofit sector with apparent ease and with massive energy, which is how she approaches everything in life. Those of you who know her will know that. She brought with her, obviously, excellent corporate skills, excellent leadership skills, interpersonal skills, the building of a team that has driven us to this vision today. Her passion is really what it's all about, her passion for positive impact and developing a new, brighter future for the Sunflower Fund. Her team tell me that she is an articulate and masterful negotiator who does not ever accept the word no as an answer. I can second that from personal experience. She is somebody who just does not waver in her commitment to getting people on board, getting people excited, and growing the message of donor recruitment. So it's all about passion. It's all about a commitment to doing the right thing with energy and enthusiasm at all times. And she does all of that seemingly effortlessly, despite the fact that she's juggling a family of her own at home that she really values and spends time with as well. So our congratulations to you on making it look so easy, Alana. I know it's not. And she also brings a very interesting sort of dynamic into the nonprofit space because of her background in business. And I hope she's not going to mind me sharing the quote that her team gave me. We definitely do want to make money, she says. We just have plans to spend it differently. So she's applied her business skills into the nonprofit sector in a very beautiful and effective way. Now, as the CEO of the Sunflower Fund, the board entrusted Alana with the task of developing a vision for the future, growing the donor database, and taking it to the next level, if I can quote a terrible cliche. And that's why we're here today. She's certainly achieved that. She has expanded it from a mainly South African brand to one that now has tendrils throughout the world, and as a result has reach to the donor database beyond our borders in South Africa. And to put this into figures for you, 10.6 million donors is the number on the DKMS network worldwide, and that is what South African patients now have access to tap into as a result of this partnership. One of Alana's chief goals has always been to grow the ethnic diversity of the database, to make sure that more and more of our wonderful melting pot of genetic diversity have the chance of a match, and that is, again, something that is so much more likely today because of this partnership. So I'd like to ask you to join us on stage and bring that bouncing passion and energy to tell us a little bit more about what next and why this move, why this organization, why this partnership, and where to from here. I'll give her official new title of the Country Executive Manager for DKMS Africa. Alana James, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much, and thanks to all of you for joining. And I mean, Pippa really knows us that well. I think you've taken at least the first 10 minutes of my speech, so I'll save you. Thanks for that. I think between the video and what Pippa shared, you can really understand the history of the Sunflower Fund and where we're at. And I don't want to go through history or those specific numbers. What I do want to share with you is some really important stories about how we got here and why we're here. So if you think back to 2015, at that stage, the Sunflower Fund had 15 years of experience in educating donors and creating awareness and fundraising so we could test more and more donors and finding ways to help patients. And at the time, successfully, our teams recruited somewhere around 70-odd thousand donors. And those were some great successes, and we celebrated them well, and we still celebrate those successes. But when we reflect, we looked at the fact that still, every single day, patients are not finding a match. And even more devastating for us, patients were losing hope of ever finding a match. So the 70-odd thousand donors we celebrated wasn't close to what we needed. And we needed to make some changes. So it started off with exactly some of our passions at the Sunflower Fund, which is engagement and collaborations and discussions. And we started talking to international registries, to WMDA, to our patients, to our donors, to our doctors, to our transplant centers, to our communities. And we learned some phenomenal things in this process. So firstly, we learned that even if a patient is lucky enough to find a donor, many of them cannot even afford to look for a donor or get to transplant. And many of the communities didn't understand what it meant to become a donor. They still thought that this was a scary, frightening medical procedure. And we took all of these. We took the costs and the need to grow the donors, and we had more conversations. And we met the most phenomenal boy called Luca. And Luca was a teenager at the time of South African and German ancestry. And all the stats said to us that he should find a match, because at that point, the statistics coming out of Germany said that 70% of patients were finding a match within 3 months. So we were kind of relieved, happy, totally shocked to know that out of tens of millions of donors, there wasn't a single match for Luca. And then we did something that was kind of new to us. We decided that's not good enough. We need to find out why. We need to fix this. Through some amazing ancestry profiling, we discovered that, yes, Luca is definitely very German and very South African, but he had Maasai ancestry. So here we have this phenomenal blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy who who's German and South African, and we have to find him a donor that somewhere has some history in Kenya. And the big moment for us at the Sunflower Fund was to realize that having a massive registry of donors, if they were not diverse enough, would not save the life of a patient. So it's not only numbers we need commitment and we need diversity. So the strategies we employed from that point onwards, they were bold, they were scary, no, they were terrifying. I'm still amazed at how the board had supported us at that point to start taking these steps. And many of you in the room will know that more than 2 years ago, we wanted to be bigger. We wanted millions of donors. We wanted matches for every patient, and we wanted to make it accessible. And we met with international registries. We met with everyone who was willing to talk to us and started building a dynamic strategy. I met with the chair of the WMDA, and he was so encouraging for what could happen in South Africa. And he said, if you work hard and your teams are committed, within 10 to 15 years, you can start turning it around. And as you'll know, that for me was a definite not good enough. We can't wait. Our patients don't have 10 to 15 years. So how do we do this? And the only way I could think of doing this was to go to the people where the successors were and say to them, help, how do we do this? How did you do this? So I remember my first conversation, and these names were very unfamiliar at the time and have become part of our family, but we met with Gabi Rahl and Stefan Schumacher and Sabine Hildebrand, and the conversation went along the lines of, you guys are doing the most amazing things. Your numbers are fantastic. I mean, currently, they've supported 90,000 patient donor matches. So I said, well, can you tell me how to do that? How did you do it? How can we make that work here? And I was really prepared to go into begging mode at that point. And thankfully, they didn't let me and said, no, we'll help. And within days, our teams were flooded with information and proposals and sharing, and here's how we can do this. And that's how this partnership started. And a really amazing meeting that we had with the patient's mum, her almost 1-year-old was not doing really well at the time. And her words to us was, could you save my son's life? And I mean, the answer can't be yes, but it was, we promise to do everything we can. And going back to the teams and the drawing boards, we realized we had this strategy, we had this vision, we had this support from these newfound friends, we could make this work. But were we doing everything we can? Is it a promise that we really could keep? And we weren't living it up to it at that point, because here we had a strategy, but we weren't delivering it to the people who needed it most. So a few months later, the conversation changed slightly, and we met Elke, who you saw on the video. And the question was, we know the plan. We've tested some of what you do in South Africa. It definitely works. We've seen the impact, but we need more. We can't deliver on this great promise we want to keep. Can we be closer friends? Can you partner? Can you help us? And her answer was, sure. I mean, that was it. It was literally one word. I mean, I'm not, shortening the story for time purposes. It was literally, sure. How can we make this work? And about 4 weeks prior to our first lockdown, we launched the Sunflower Fund partnered by DKMS. And that was amazing. And then almost just more than 3 weeks later, we were in lockdown. And thanks to our partnerships with Microsoft South Africa, DKMS, and the amazing IT teams from DKMS, within 2 months, we launched online registrations. We saw South Africans registering from the comfort of their homes, from the safety that they needed to keep distant because we couldn't do donor drives. And here they were, in their thousands, registering. We were so excited. We even found donor matches during that time and had to facilitate moving people across borders when everything was locked down. And it was an incredible, incredible moment. And then we realized the donors are coming too quickly, and the patient's needs are increasing, and the matches are growing. What do we do? How do we do this? And then we went back to the drawing board with our partners, and we said, the only way we can think of making this work is how can we tap into all your resources, all your expertise, your support, your laboratories, your typing. How do we get more support so that our amazing team in South Africa can be capacitated in a way we can make a genuine difference to patients? And Elke was, let's make it work. And we spent about an hour drawing up what this partnership would look like, and off we went. So within the space of under 4 months, every one of our teams got ready for this moment. And we have such amazing things to celebrate. Our achievements have been the numbers that you can see. We have some phenomenal firsts that have taken place, all because not only of our initiative, our never say no attitude, but our most phenomenal staff and all the partners that we've managed to bring on board this journey over the last few years. So some of those achievements and firsts, well, one has to be, we were the first registry and donor center in Africa to move from testing blood samples to buccal swabs. And with buccal swabs, this meant that we could test donors anywhere. And had we not done that all those years ago, could you imagine during lockdown, needing to get blood taken, how crazy that would have been? We were also the first registry in Africa to say we have 0 search costs for patients. We want to take every barrier away from a patient reaching transplant. And we've agreed to do it through collaboration and support, consistency, and a commitment to our patients. So through all these goals, through all these changes, through all these crises that we had to deal with, we had just one thing to focus on, and that was, is it the best interest for our patient? So when Elke and I sat down, one of the big questions was, how do we make this global integrated strategy work? How do we bring all of our teams together across 5 continents? How do we do this? And I thought this would be a point of great debate, and it just wasn't, because the answer was simple. We test everything we're going to do against, will it impact a patient? Is it the best thing we can do for a patient? And that's how this partnership started. And that's why we're here today and can call ourselves DKMS Africa. Not because it was in a plan, not because it was a strategy for years and years and years, because every time we had to become agile and adapt and ensure that we were putting our patients first. So the partnership for me is this magical unicorn. You hear about it, you never really see it, you definitely hope it's always out there. And this is all of our hopes. This is everything we've worked towards as teams, as a community. This is what we've worked towards. Our magical unicorn is sitting right here. So we can talk about the impact and the success of this partnership. We can go through the statistics and the figures and how this makes sense for a patient and how we will see more patients get to transplant. We can talk about all those successes of the partnership. And they're real and they're there, and we'll engage with them throughout the day. But there is one moment in this partnership that is probably the greatest value, and that is when we look at patients like Luca, we know that we're doing what we can. And when we think back to the promise we made to a mum of an almost 1-year-old with his beautiful angel wings on today, we know we've kept our promise. We've promised to do everything we can for a patient. And most importantly, what this partnership means is that we, as DKMS Africa, can continue to commit and promise that we are here to do everything possible for patients. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alana. I happen to know Luca's mom, and I know that she knows you've done everything and made good on that promise that you make to all the patients. So Alana's passion speaks for itself. I think everybody in this room knows that she stands behind that promise and that this is a step towards enabling them to keep it. A big part of that step, though, has been the partnership of DKMS International. And we got to hear today from Germany, from Dr. Elke Nujar, who is the global CEO of DKMS, who is joining us on the virtual stream. And it wouldn't be possible to have this event at all without her. So it would be just impossible to do it without hearing from her today. And she has a list of achievements and qualifications and certificates that would keep me here for half an hour, I think, if I started. What is more important, I think, is the hand of friendship and of family that she has extended to DKMS Africa. And I know Alana wants to introduce her personally because, as you probably saw from the video at the start, it was a spark of instant connection. There is deep, deep-seated respect and friendship between them. And I think you want to say a lot more about Elke as a person than we need to say about who she is as a professional. So I'm going to let Alana introduce Dr. Nujar officially for us.
Thank you. Thanks, Pippa. So it really is an honor, and I know it's quite odd because our MC doing an amazing job really does have a list an arm long to share about Elke, but when I introduce her, I want to introduce her to you not as the global CEO of DKMS, but one of our colleagues, and has become one of our friends and has really become part of our family and invited us into hers. And this would not be possible without her vision and her most phenomenal attitude to always make things possible. And we share the same lack of patience, never take no for an answer, and most importantly, Elke, putting the patient first. We always hoped going into this partnership with DKMS that that's something when we spoke about would be honored. And today and every day that we've worked with you, you've really shown us that patients and staff and our commitment to impact for them both is what's key. Welcome and thank you for this amazing day. Thank you.
Thank you, Alana. This sunflower is for you. So, good day, everyone, and a warm welcome to you all. Between you and me, I'm rather sad that I can't join you in person today at this fantastic venue. I would have loved to come to Cape Town and meet you all face to face. All the more, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to welcome my dear friends and colleagues from South Africa to our growing international DKMS family. As the Sunflower Fund story, ours began with a family fighting to save someone they loved. 30 years ago, when Mechthild Haaf was diagnosed with leukemia, she badly needed a blood stem cell transplant. But there was no matching donor in her family. Mechthild's husband and our founder, Dr. Peter Haaf, went door to door in Germany. Together with his two daughters, he desperately tried to find a matching donor for his wife and their mother. When Peter founded DKMS in 1991, there were only 3,000 registered donors in Germany. Within only 1 year, he had helped to grow the number of potential lifesavers to 68,000. But sadly, Mechthild did not survive. But before she passed away, she made Peter promise her one thing. He would not stop fighting until every patient had a matching donor. Since then, Peter and his daughter Katharina Haaf, the vice chairwoman of our DKMS Foundation Board, have kept that promise. And ever since, we have worked tirelessly to fulfill our mission to provide as many blood cancer patients as possible with a second chance at life. And like Alana already said, we will never stop and we will never accept a no as an answer. Today, we are the largest international network of blood stem cell donor centers in the world. We are operating in 7 countries on 5 continents. We are active in Germany, in the US, in Poland, the UK, in Chile, and India, where we operate together with our partner BMST. And now, also, that makes me so proud and so happy, South Africa. Currently, we have more than 10.5 million registered donors worldwide. These people are on standby to provide life-saving stem cell transplant to patients in need. And every committed donor we have knows how important it is to support our fight against blood cancer. To date, and thanks to these selfless and really wonderful people, we have been able to provide more than 91,000 second chances at life since we were founded. As an international non-profit organization with more than 1,000 employees around the globe, we create awareness and we recruit potential lifesavers. We also raise funds to increase the size and diversity of the worldwide donor pool. To help improve the treatment of blood cancer, we conduct our own groundbreaking research. Our DKMS Life Science Lab carries out typing according to the latest scientific standards. Our experts analyze more than 1 million samples from our donors every year. For many patients, the search for a donor is the beginning of a race against time. The faster a suitable donor is found, the better the chance of survival. Our advanced typing program ensures that doctors have access to the most important information to match donors with patients. Each new donor registering with us is typed at higher resolution for a wide selection of genetic markers. Our donor typing profile includes 24 HLA markers. This is a key factor when it comes to winning this race. Another key factor to finding a match, especially for patients with a mixed ethnic background, is the diversity of the donor pool. As a result of our international efforts, we have become one of the most diverse registries in the world. However, there are still too many patients around the globe unable to find their perfect match. And to repeat this, when Alana and I first met in November 2019, we knew from the very first moment that we are the perfect match. We decided almost immediately that we want to change the situation for patients together in South Africa, across the continent, around the world. Within 20 minutes, we drafted our contract and scaled our partnership last year in May. Every 27 seconds, worldwide, someone is diagnosed with blood cancer. That means more than 1 million people every year are affected. Worldwide, 40% of patients are not able to find their genetic twin. This proportion is dramatically higher for people with a diverse genetic makeup. Thus, we need to continue to recruit donors from as many different ethnic backgrounds as possible. And as a match could come from anywhere in the world, it is important that we expand our international reach, that we cross borders, that we collaborate globally. The vision for my organization is that we will have 20 million donors and will be active in 20 countries by the year 2030. That is my dream. With DKMS in Africa, we can learn a lot about this continent. Over 20 years of experience will help us to build an even more diverse registry of committed donors. The first 10 months of our partnership with the Sunflower Fund have already shown that we are much stronger together. This is what really drives me. So together we have more than 50 years of experience in the fight against blood cancer. Together, we can make a big impact in the lives of patients. And together we are DKMS. Welcome to the family. Welcome DKMS Africa. I hope to see you all in person soon to toast together to our common future. Thank you so very, very much. I'm really happy today that we have this relaunch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Noya. And you said we should toast the success of this partnership. That is exactly what we would like everybody to join us in doing today. There are glasses being brought around for everyone, and I know both Alana and Elke would like to add to the toast itself, but please, can I ask you all, you are allowed to take your masks off for this bit, I promise, to join us in toasting the beginning of this big, ever-growing family that the Sunflower Fund has become part of, and congratulations to you personally, Alana, on helping to make that happen. And Elke, we wish you could be with us in person to join us today, but thank you so much for that powerful virtual contribution to the event.
So I think from my side, my toast is to all of you to say thank you for the role you've played in making today possible. I think I raise my glass a little bit higher to every single one of our staff members, both the ones in South Africa and our newfound family across the globe. Without what you've done, we would really not be here. And the way you bring your passion and commitment every single day is amazing. I toast to you. But most importantly today, I toast that we can keep our promise of doing everything we can for our patients.
Elke, I know you would like to add something as well. Oh dear, their technology fails us.
Yeah, now you can hear me again. So, dear guests, dear colleagues and friends, I'm really happy to be here. And you might have noticed behind me, you see the photograph of an elephant, which I made on one of my many, many trips to Africa, because it's my second home. I love to be with you. I'm so excited to be now together with you, with DKMS Africa. And yeah, maybe once Africa will be my first home, hope so. And on behalf of all of us at DKMS, welcome on board, welcome to the DKMS family, and here's to a better future for our patients.
Cheers. Everybody, please, let's join us in toasting the success of DKMS Africa and this wonderful friendship and family that has grown. To DKMS Africa. Cheers. Cheers.
Tulana moyo tetile yo ya zendaba teta moya yo ya tulana moyo tetile yo ya zendaba teta moya yo ya tulana moyo tetile yo ya zendaba teta moya yo ya tulana moyo tetile yo ya slendaba teta moya yo ya tulana moyo tetile watetha moya euyayas lentaba zibuya izinkomo zobaba ilanga lishonile bafana mazibuya izinkomo zobaba sengibathe ngibheka ngasemadlelweni andiboni lutho sengibathe ngibheka ngasemadlelweni andiboni lutho hey siyolombola ngani na asiyeki inkomo zobaba zemngano moya oh ebebe masiyolombola ngani na asiyeki inkomo zobaba zemngano moya siyolombola ngani na siyolombola ngani na ilema inkomo zobaba zemngano moya siyolombola ngani na asiyeki inkomo zobaba zemngano moya siyolombola ngani na asiyeki inkomo zobaba zemngano moya siyolombola ngani na siyolombola ngani na baba zemgano moya.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. We can talk about recruitment drives and donor databases and numbers, and it's all very impressive and deserves to be applauded. But I'm a radio host. I believe in the power of personal storytelling to make a story make sense. And there is nothing that puts this whole conversation into perspective quite like putting a face to the concept of a patient waiting. And with us today is a very special guest who symbolizes everything that DKMS Africa is about, of never giving up hope, of never accepting defeat, and never losing the drive to keep on hoping for more. And today she is a 19-year-old, bright, happy, healthy young woman, but that was not always the case. Zion was only 4 years old when she was diagnosed with a life-threatening blood disorder, and her family received the news that the only hope for her long-term survival was going to be a stem cell transplant. And they waited a long time. They held on to hope a very, very long time. But this is a story that has a happy ending, and it's one that has a very poignant ending because not too long ago, Zion had the opportunity to actually connect in person with the donor who had saved her life. And before we meet the young woman herself, we'd like to share that incredible story with you. Tissue alert and a mascara alert for those who are wearing it.
I'm really honored to turn the screen to introduce you to Zion.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Zayan. I've been waiting to see you since 2017. And this is my family. This is my mother.
Hello.
My little sister. And my father.
Hello, Marta.
Nice to see you.
Likewise.
Myślę, że będę potrzebowała tłumaczenia ze względu na to, że jednak dużo emocji jest we mnie.
It's incredibly emotional for everyone here today. And so what we've done just to help is we've prepared something that the family would like to read to you. So we will start with a message from Zayan's mum.
I have thought of you 1,000 times over the last 3 years. What I would say to you, and words never seemed adequate enough. I cannot thank you enough for your selfless act that saved my daughter's life. Between the ages of 9 and 16, she needed over 250 blood transfusions to get through the years. We had given up hope of ever finding a match for her. At the age of 16, we decided to give it one more try. And you came back as a match. It's been almost 4 years, and Zayan hasn't needed a blood transfusion. Her life has changed so much. She has so much of life in her now. And every day, she treasures and we treasure the second chance that you gave her. We no longer fear what if. We can now plan a future with Zayan and for Zayan. You are our angel, and we cannot thank you enough. From the bottom of my heart, as a mother, as Zayan's mother, I want to say thank you. Thank you for saving her life.
Zayan's sister has a little message for you too. Do you want to bring it up?
Siostra również ma dla ciebie pewną wiadomość.
W sumie to tak jakby Zayan była także moją siostrą. Także w sumie właśnie w ten sposób myślałam o tobie, Zayan, kiedy oddawałam szpik.
Well, you're part of our family now. You're South African.
Dokładnie tak.
And then Zayan's been waiting a very long time to be able to say something to you. And he's also prepared a little something.
I don't know where to begin. For years, my life was about hospitals, needles, and blood transfusions. I couldn't see the end of the road, and I couldn't see a future for me. All I knew was hospital. In my heart, I had given up, but I didn't want my family to see. I knew that I needed to fight to hang in there. But I was getting tired. My body was getting tired. I had told Mom to stop searching for a donor because it was so hard to hear when the results came back that there was no match. Then that day came when we were told we had a match. I was terrified that you would change your mind. I was scared to hope. Then transplant day came and I had the bone marrow transplant. That was the beginning of my journey. I want to thank you for making the choice to become a stem cell donor. I want to thank you for being so selfless. And I want to thank you, above all, for saving my life. There are no words to describe how grateful I am to you. For giving me a second chance at life. I see a future for myself now. The future not confined to a hospital bed. And now, I can finally live.
Bardzo Wam dziękuję za to, że za te słowa. Nie mam pojęcia, przez co przeszliście. Nie mam pojęcia, przez co przeszliście. Po prostu. Ale kiedy zadzwonili do mnie z fundacji, to było bardzo wyjątkowy dla mnie dzień. Ja jestem osobą, która nigdy nie wygrała żadnego konkursu, dlatego tym bardziej było to wyjątkowe, że jest gdzieś ktoś, kto jest tak bardzo podobny do mnie, ale przede wszystkim to było tak niesamowite, ponieważ wiedziałam, że mogę w jakiś sposób właśnie komuś pomóc i od razu jakby miałam podjętą decyzję. Co prawda wokół mnie były osoby, które mi odradzały właśnie branie udziału w tej procedurze, ale ja wiedziałam, że po prostu nie mogę inaczej postąpić. Co mogę więcej powiedzieć? Bardzo, bardzo, bardzo się cieszę, że tak naprawdę dziękujecie mi, ale tu nie ma w sumie żadnej mojej zasługi, bo przecież to nie ode mnie zależy, nie ode mnie zależą geny, które dostałam.
I know that Marta has a huge heart and I'm really glad she would share it with you because I know how valuable it is, so we are very happy for it.
Thank you so much. And I think that Marta is right that this was meant to be now. It was set out already, you know. We waited for years to find a donor.
Zion, how has your life been since then? I mean, have you got back to school? Have you, I don't know.
I've gone back to school. I have more energy now. I'm able to play with my sister. I could never do that before. I was always too tired. I don't have to deal with needles a lot, so I'm happy.
She gets to go out. She's out of bed more than ever. She's eating all the time. She doesn't stop eating. She eats a lot, like a lot. Okay, no, not a lot, but she eats. So, and she's been happy. She's been happy. And because she's been happy, the whole family has been happy because she's been sick since the age of 4. And for the first time, Zayan just gets to be a normal person. So, I don't know, thank you doesn't seem like it's enough. It doesn't.
Tak jak mówiłam, to naprawdę dziękujecie mi, ale ja tutaj nawet mam tyle emocji w sobie, że nawet nie wiem, co mam powiedzieć, ale wiem, że jakby tu nie ma jakiejś mojej wybitnej zasługi, ale tak bardzo się cieszę, że mogłam być tą osobą, która jednak pomogła. Paru lat też sama zostałam mamą i po prostu sobie nie wyobrażam tego bólu, cierpienia i przez co musieliście przejść. Więc dla mnie po prostu jesteście święci.
And then just to hear from Zayan's dad.
Look, from a dad's point of view, I would like to say thank you very much. Thanks for everything. Zayan has grown from a young teenager, from a child to a young teenager. She's a woman now, and it's all thanks to you. And from the bottom of our hearts, as a family, God bless you, and you will make amazing parents.
Thank you.
My grandparents told me that I must not forget to say thank you from their side. Just letting you know.
Więc pozdrawiam także dziadków. Teraz mamy takie spotkanie online, ale szczerze mówiąc, od kiedy dowiedziałam się, że mogę być dawcą, to po prostu nie mogłam się doczekać, żeby poznać tą osobę tak na żywo. Mam nadzieję, że kiedyś uda nam się spotkać właśnie na żywo.
Definitely.
We hope so.
Thank you, Zayan and Marta, for sharing this life-changing journey with us. And thank you to both families for making this remarkable moment possible. I mean, every member of our DKMS family, we work passionately and tirelessly for these moments. Thank you with all our hearts. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. It was so nice to meet you.
It was wonderful to meet you.
Pretty hard to follow something like that, but we can follow it because the young lady herself is with us, and I'd like to invite Zayan to join us on stage to share a little bit more about the journey she's walked and about that moment you've just witnessed, an incredibly special coming together of parts of a new family that live on opposite sides of the world. Zayan, thank you so much. And Alana, I know you wanted to add something before we start chatting to Zayan.
Yeah, so this was an amazing moment because we've been friends with Zayan for many years, and making it extra special today, that was a donor from our DKMS Poland family.
Fantastic. And that is what this is all about. Zayan, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm happy. Just cry.
So is everybody else in the room, so don't worry. Zayan, I mean, what is it like for you to watch that video and reflect on that moment? It wasn't so long ago, was it?
It was not. I just cried over again. It's just, it was, I can't explain it. It's difficult to explain, but it's amazing.
You had a childhood unlike most people's because yours was not all about playing outside, going to school, having fun with your friends. A lot of your time was spent on fighting to stay alive.
Definitely.
And here you sit at 19. It's almost like you've been gifted a second chance at life. You mentioned it in the video, but won't you just elaborate for us a little bit how your life has changed since your transplant?
Well, previously I had a transplant before, the blood transfusions every second week. I was in high school at that time, so every second week I went to the hospital. I got the blood transfusions. I was exhausted, so that was the day I wasn't in school. I went back the next day and I had to just finish the work, but I was an A student. I made sure that I did my best, and it was always hospital. It was always there. But I didn't bring that with me. I didn't see it as a negative thing. For me, it's what must happen, and hospital and those things, it made me stronger. Yeah, not a lot of people can say that they had to go for blood and then come back and do work. So.
Yeah. And in terms of your ability to lead, particularly when you got to your teenage years, time with friends is so important, sport, being outdoors together, those were all things that you had to do very carefully.
Yes. I generally didn't actually do sports. But high school life went on as normal, if you can say it like that. I had my friends and we spoke like normal teenagers would, so there was some normal things in my life. I think hospital was the only thing that wasn't proper in teenagers' life.
What's quite unusual about your story is how long you waited. And again, it was referenced in that video that you had almost given up on trying and even hoping that a match might be found. And yet somebody made the decision to try once more. Do you remember what it was that made you decide, let's give it one more try?
It was difficult because of the chemotherapy that I had to get, and I had to explain a whole lot of difficulties, like because I can't have children, most probably, and also death that comes along there. So that was difficult, but I decided to continue because I was tired of all the blood transfusions and the medication, and I thought, you know what, like I said previously, what must happen must happen. So I went, I did it. I needed to get on with life. I needed to see.
And do you remember the day you got that phone call to say, we found a match and she's sitting in Poland?
Unfortunately, I do not, because of the 80 days in hospital. It was hectic. I started having these massive seizures, and they had to put me in a medically induced coma. I was in the coma for 4 days, and I woke up with memory loss completely and a scar on my brain, which I actually got removed last year in June. So another big thing. I don't actually remember how it felt, but I think it was happiness. It was relief that finally there's a chance, because before there never was. But now, okay, there's someone that's willing to do it, even though they know absolutely nothing about me. And it was happiness that I know that I was happy. Even though I can't remember, I know.
You referenced in that clip how one of the beautiful things about your second life that has begun post-transplant is your ability to play with your sister. Tell us a little bit more about how your transplant changed your relationship with your sister, because it must have been incredibly difficult for her to understand what was happening.
She was a baby, so yeah, a lot of things happened, and the scar caused epilepsy. So she was about 3, and she already knew what to do if I ever had a seizure. She knew, which is odd for a 2-year-old to know things like that. I was just very tired to get up and play and just spend a lot of time with her. But now I'm able to. I look after my little sister. But I love her. I'm able to get up and play with her and just do the things that a child wants. spend time with her. And with my other sister also, I go to school with her also. So before I was never able to help her with her homework or do things like that. But I can do many things now. If we go out somewhere, I'm able to be with my sisters. So I'm happy.
The other thing you get to do now, which you couldn't really do before with any certainty, was dream of a future and make plans for a future. Is that a luxury you allow yourself? Have you had enough time to digest the fact that you can do that now?
I could, but at that time, my future was a transplant. That's what I dreamed of. And now I'm ready. I want to, I'm going to high school now. I'm working with Alana, so I don't know what the future holds, but I know that I love helping people and that I love working with them. So, like I said, we never know what our path is and we never know what's going to happen. So I take little steps at a time, and what must come, must come. But I'm ready to be out there. I'm ready to help. I'm ready to tell my story so people can see the importance of doing small and simple things for others.
How did you come to meet Marta? Did you initiate that, or did Alana and her team say to you, we can make it happen if you want it?
It was, I think, 2 years ago, and I was speaking to Alana, and I said, I've always wanted to meet the donor. I asked her, is it possible? And she said she does not know. So this is 2 years later. It was out of my mind, and out of the blue, she surprised me with this. So these people, they are absolutely amazing. They can remember something from 2 years ago that would seem so small to a company that does so many things. But it happened. They made it happen for me, and it was emotional, but it was, it was very emotional, but it was happy. It was joyous, and the same thing is that we can never be thankful enough. We can't say thank you enough to everyone who did this for us, who made this happen. So, yeah, it was a big deal.
Alana, it's not everybody who gets that privilege of being able to thank their donor in person. I don't know if you want to add anything a little bit about what it took to make that meeting happen.
It was really just an incredible moment. I mean, our teams got hold of Poland through our new connections with DKMS, and we met Marta 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, it seems like forever. But really, all of this came together. Marta was so willing to meet the patient whose life she saved. And really, this was a phenomenal team effort. This is one of the things we look back on and we see how, as a DKMS family, we could make this work, not just for Zayan, but her family and Marta, and the messages that they've shared that is really encouraging others to come forward and register, because this is what your moment ends up as. So it's been an incredible journey, and a really amazing Monday when we got the news that we would be filming. So we had the best Monday ever. But getting here was so easy, and I just didn't think it would be. I think it would have been challenging to try and meet this donor, finding a translator, trying to get all the technology to work. And I think, again, it's what we do. We do our best for our patients, and that's what it is. And it was really amazing to be part of that as a team.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I want to say to you, Zayan, is, as I said when I introduced that video, putting a face to numbers and telling a story like the one you've shared with us today is, I think, for many people, the moment where something switches, where it stops being, oh yes, that's that thing they asked me to do, I should get around to that sometime, to being about saving a life and recognizing the impact of what that small act of registration can do. So I want to say to you, thank you so much for the courage you've had in being prepared to share that story. There are many young people who would be off second chance at life, I'm going to go out there and live it. The fact that you are choosing to give back as you're doing by sharing that story and encouraging other people to sign up, I think is so important. And I want to thank you very much for being with us today to share it. Any final words from you that you'd like to share with our audience?
Firstly, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here to say these things, and become a donor. Do something so small for others, because it's nothing, because you give them a second chance. You make them absolutely happy. You give them and their family things that they never thought they could ever have, and that is absolutely amazing. That is what makes you a hero. That is, I know people, they always want to do big things in their lives. They want to climb Mount Everest and they want to go to different countries. And this is something so small, but it truly is something big and something truly amazing that you can do for someone else.
Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you.
Oh.
So they're not sunflowers, but they come with love from the entire DKMS Africa family to thank you so much for being part of this and for, I know, your commitment to continuing to share your story. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. Now, at this point, we are fingers crossed hoping that technology is going to work with us as we call on our keynote speaker who is going to speak to us today from Gauteng. Have we lost that link? Are we going to try? Okay. In the meantime, let me tell you who you're going to be hearing from in the hopes that by the time I'm finished, we've got the link up and running. We are absolutely delighted and honored that we have a representative of the National Health Department joining us today. And Dr. Aquina is now a technical advisor in the National Health Department. But I just want to tell you a little bit about her background in medicine, because it's a very, very interesting resume that she has that spans so many different aspects of her medical journey. She obtained her MB CHB degree at Nelson Mandela Medical School in Durban, and after that went on to specialize in reproductive medicine at Stellenbosch University. She then moved on to Wits, where she added an MBA and a Master's of Management in Public Policy to what was now a shelf groaning with diplomas and recognition. Her professional experience has been substantial in the healthcare industry. It spans public and private and the developmental NGO sector. She has extensive experience at management and board level within both the for-profit and non-profit sectors. Amongst her other achievements, she ran a full-time community medical practice in Tembisa for 10 years. She was a medical officer at King Edward and Chris Hani Baragwanath hospitals, practiced as a medico-legal district surgeon, and as an antenatal practitioner. And just to add to all of that, she's previously also held the role of Secretary General of the South African Medical Association and Deputy Chair of the South African Medical and Dental Practitioners Association. Somewhere on the line, in between all of that, she has kept on developing junior leaders in the military healthcare services because she remains a lieutenant colonel in the reserve force. Dr. Aquina Tulare, we're so honored to have you with us today. We know that the National Health Department is under immense pressure at the moment and that there are a huge number of competing priorities, but it wouldn't have felt right to us to have this celebration today without a representative of the National Health Department. So please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Dr. Aquina Tulare.
Thank you very much. Let me first start by recognizing the global DKMS CEO, Dr. Nejua. I hope I've pronounced that properly. The country executive manager, Ms. Alana James, clinical hematologist at the ABJ Oncology Unit, Dr. David Brittain. And then let me also recognize members of the medical and healthcare fraternity, members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. It is a great pleasure and honor for me to address this event on behalf of our Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Zwelini Mkhize. Minister has indicated that I must apologize on his behalf because he could not be here in himself due to other pressing matters that would not allow him to come and address this august event. Firstly, let me take this opportunity to congratulate the Sunflower Fund as it becomes DKMS Africa, thereby changing the prospects of cancer patients in South Africa and in the entire continent. It gives me great excitement to be part of this historic journey that should be celebrated by our entire country and the continent at large. Every year on the 21st of March, South Africa commemorates Human Rights Day. This year, our country commemorated the historic day under the theme, The Year of Charlotte Maxeke, promoting human rights in the age of COVID-19. South Africa, as with the rest of the world, has been hard hit by the pandemic. We have lost many lives. Many people have contracted the virus and are the pandemic. As a developing nation, the test of this pandemic has been evident in different aspects of our lives, notwithstanding the illuminating light that has been cast on our welfare and healthcare services. While we accelerate the rollout of our vaccine program, we have not shifted from our focus on other healthcare issues, including such as those related to cancer and other communicable and non-communicable diseases. According to the Global Cancer Observatory, every 27 seconds worldwide and every 5 minutes in South Africa, someone is diagnosed with blood cancer or other life-threatening blood disorders such as thalassemia or sickle cell disease. For many of these patients, their only hope of cure is a blood stem cell transplant from a matching donor. The significance of this partnership is that it will be felt by cancer sufferers who may otherwise not have had the hope and the chance of ever finding a match. Utata Nelson Mandela, the father of our democracy and our first democratic president, famously said, "Health cannot be a question of income. It is a human right." Indeed, we still hold on to those words as we work diligently to deliver services to all South Africans equitably and with the limited resources at our disposal. It is not a secret that for us to achieve the monumental task to provide universal health coverage, we will need a lot of investments in the public health, and how better than to build partnerships with the private and global entities who share the same goal as ourselves. I'm especially encouraged to learn that a major part of this partnership is a centralization of patient care to DKMS Africa vision and processes. In particular, the patient-centric strategies that are especially important to us are the donor diversity focus, routine high-resolution NGS HLA typing for donors, ongoing fee structuring, restructuring to reduce the costs, funding support for patients and procedures, and the provision of quality procedures with predictable outcomes. We additionally know that the provision of quality healthcare also comes at a cost. Hence, we are doing our best to live by Madiba's words. We are therefore more grateful that this partnership will also reduce transplantation costs for patients. We need to create awareness at different levels of society, particularly amongst communities where donor numbers are very low. We need to partner with grassroots organizations where we can best communicate the urgent need to be on the register. It is imperative that all patients, regardless of their location in the world, get a second chance at life where it is possible. I am touched extremely by the moving story of the South African young lady, Zian, spelled, I hope that's the correct spelling, Zien or Zayen, I hope, who has received a second chance at life following a stem cell donation from a Polish donor. This story illustrates the underlying and most important issue that global collaboration and collaboration of all types, be it in medicine, healthcare, or otherwise, are the foundation of life. And we are grateful to DKMS for having been a facilitator of this transplant. We want to acknowledge the other equally important benefit of this partnership, most notably in DKMS's heavy involvement in medicine and science, with its own research unit that continually focuses on improving the survival and recovery rate of patients. In its high-performance laboratory, the DKMS Life Science Laboratory, the organization sets worldwide standards in the typing of potential blood stem cell donors. Since 1999, the Sunflower Foundation has been at the forefront of stem cell donor education and recruitment. And since the opening of the organization in 1999, the organization has extended the hope of cancer disorder sufferers in South Africa and on the continent, and has been part of the fabric of our society as a registry and advocate for cancer patients. In Germany, DKMS celebrated its 10th millionth donor, and this year the organization celebrates its 30th year of existence. DKMS also facilitated 86,000 patient donor matches, and this is very wonderful to know. It's wonderful to know that one of those is our own. Even more encouraging has been the assertion and vote of confidence on South Africa, on the South African organization and skills that makes us even more excited as a country and as a healthcare fraternity. I am very pleased that the collaborations and synergies of the two teams are already bearing fruit, and hope you will grow closer to provide the kind of patient and transplant services we all hoped for. We wish you all the best as you cement your ties in joining Germany, Chile, India, Poland, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America to become one of the biggest stem cell registries in the world with the most diverse donors. As a country, we value these partnerships, and we want to wish you continued success as you look into the future and as you bring hope to a lot of people in this country, in the continent, and globally. I want to thank you and wish you the best in all your deliberations. Thank you.
Our sincere thanks to you, Dr. Kwena Tulare, for being part of this event today. As I said at the introduction, there are a huge number of competing priorities right now, preoccupying the desks of our health departments, so we're really grateful that they could be part of the event today. It just wouldn't have felt right to do it without them, and appreciate that reminder of the importance of collaboration towards improving healthcare for humanity, which we have been so keenly aware of at this time. Our next speaker is somebody who is going to chat to us about stem cell donation from a different perspective, namely that of the medical professional trying to give the patient the best possible chance at life. Dr. David Britton obtained his MB-CHB in 1988 from the University of the Witwatersrand. He would later return to his alma mater to specialize in hematopathology and later clinical hematology. And after running his own private practice in Johannesburg for 8 years, he joined Albert Spauer and Jordan, which is a leading oncology practice where he has worked as director in the hematology and cellular therapy field. And he has a particular interest in treatment of leukemias and lymphomas and myeloma, as well as in stem cell transplantation. He is, in fact, a member of the South African and American Societies of Hematology and the South African Myeloma Working Group. And most pertinent of all to today's conversation, he serves on the executive committee of the South African Stem Cell Transplant Society. And I'd love to invite him onto stage to share a few words with us about what this new partnership with DKMS means for the transplant community. Welcome, Dr. Britton. Thank you.
Thanks, thanks Pippa. Thanks very much to the Sunflower Fund or DKMS Africa for inviting me here today. I'm here to dry the eyes. You know, I'm the do a dry part of today's talk, just to kind of let you settle down a little bit before lunch. Yeah, so today I'm here actually as a representative of SACETS, of the South African Society of Stem Cell Transplantation, and to represent the physicians, the users of stem cells. So, I mean, as we've seen, it's a very personal story for every patient. And I think we all walk a very long journey with our patients before we get to the point that you saw here today with Zion. And that's a very important thing. Bone marrow stem cell transplant is the curative option for many diseases, and you've heard that again and again today. But only about 1/3 of people have a matched related donor. In other words, somebody in their family that can be their donor. And that means you've got to look outside. And when you look outside, your chances of finding a donor are not 100%. You heard even Alka Neha say that 40% of people don't get a donor. And if you come from a community that is ethnically more diverse, or genetically rather more diverse, as many of our patients do, that chance is even lower. And so many people don't get to have a bone marrow transplant, and they don't get to have a story like this. And access to a registry is not 10 million people that are there that have got the profile, the number. Access to an unrelated donor is getting the transplant done, and that is a function of time. Very important. Not everybody has, I don't know, what was that, 12 years? Has a 12-year journey. Many people only have months before the disease progresses to the point where it can't be controlled without the transplant. And the other aspect that's very important and has been dealt with by Alana is the cost of getting the cells here, the typing costs. And so much of it is unpredictable or only partially covered by insurance. And quite importantly, and I think an important focus that we need to work on as we go forward, is that access to unrelated donors in the state healthcare system is very limited, especially by the cost of acquiring the cells. And at the moment is only a realistic possibility through donor organizations, funding organizations. I don't know if it came across as clearly as it should, the miracle that every transplant from an unrelated donor is. The way some person somewhere in the world puts their name down on a form and sends in a swab or a blood sample and commits to donating bone marrow, which, by the way, is not a surgical procedure, just in case anybody's getting nervous about that. And the massive infrastructure of testing, of computer artificial intelligence, of dedicated people that connect those dots and bring that person who put their name down to this person who needs the stem cells. The miracle of that every day, that's happening every day. 90,000 people just through DKMS that have had a match and connected that dot. But it's so fragile and so complex. And what it really represents is human nature, the commitment to help another person, and at every single step of the way. And I think that was so evident today, is the passion and the energy that goes into the people that work at this. Yes, the patient is very emotional, and but it's very easy to connect that. But the passion that comes from the donor side and the registry side is very important. Just before I end, I don't know if everyone saw the sunflowers on Alka Nyeha's table. I thought that was a very nice touch. I thought that represented an attention to detail and a commitment to partnering that I thought was very important. We look forward to the energy and the resource that DKMS is going to bring into the South African unrelated donor environment, and to enabling bone marrow transplantation or bone marrow stem cell transplantation in South Africa at a new level. And in particular, I think that we need to, in the next, I was going to say decade, but then I got embarrassed by Alana's earlier words, but maybe in the next few years, to getting that going in the South African state sector. I think for all of us as treating physicians and nurses and dietitians and physiotherapists and so many other medical professionals, it's a privilege to work with people that are so committed and so passionate about what they do. It's humbling, and it gives us energy to see that and to be supported by that. So thank you, DKMS and Alka and your team. Thank you, Alana and your team. And we look forward to a very productive next couple of years, months, okay, as we change the world. Thank you very much, everybody. And congratulations.
Don't run away, please. That's just a very small token of thank you so much for being here today and for sharing that insight with us. That team of miracle workers obviously can achieve nothing without the doctors driving that process. So thank you from their perspective, and thank you so much for being part of the event today.
Thank you very much, Pippa.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
So that's where we're going to wrap up the formalities for today, but we do hope that you will all stay with us for lunch. As I mentioned at the start, lunch is being set up at the back of the room on two separate stations, so you're not missing out if you're on the left, not the right. They're identical. Just please do remember to keep your social distancing as you go up for lunch. We would recommend perhaps considering doing it table by table, from the front tables towards the back, please. To the members of the media, thank you very, very much for giving us your time this morning. And if you would like to set up one-on-one interviews with any of the speakers, I know Zian is going to be in demand for one. The team from Eclipse PR are here. Could I ask them just to wave a hand and identify themselves? If you can see at the back there, if you need anything and would like to liaise with them about interviews, please just do so directly with them. Right, to bring this back to the story, you know, today has been about celebrating this momentous event, and every one of those patients waiting is a Zian. And there is a family of people who love her and a collection of friends who love them, who are waiting with them. It is a network that extends far beyond the boundaries of just the names on that waiting list, and this partnership gives hope to all of them. Which is a wonderful thing to be able to celebrate today. So many of them here in South Africa whose chances of having that hope realized have grown exponentially because of this collaboration. And I want to say a personal thank you to Alana and her team once again for inviting me to be part of this event, because what you have done is remarkable. And the energy that you've put into the last 5 years of growing this vision to where we are today is, I know, thanks to you, but also to your team who support you in that vision and passion. So thank you for all of that. And thank you, everybody, for being with us today. Going out to a function is quite a big thing to do these days. So we are particularly grateful for being with us. And thank you so much for joining us.
And I think just a really special thank you to you, Pippa, because, you know, with lockdown and no MCs getting great face-to-face gigs in a while, we did have our pick and and it was just a no-brainer that somebody with the amount of passion you have for the work that we do and how you've supported us, that you're here with us today. It's really what we're about. It's not just some odd people in a room. It's really our partners and our families. So thank you so much for making this day incredibly special.
I wouldn't have put high heels on for anyone else. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody. Thank you.
And then I know Pippa has extended lots of thank yous to all of you, and I just extend them again, but I really need to finish with a thank you to our DKMS family. Thank you for Elka and the team for really not just believing us, but putting everything you do behind the work that we want to achieve here. And thank you to the most phenomenal staff that I have the privilege of working with every day. Without you, none of this is possible. And you've just made the most amazing celebration work today. So thank you to all of you. Thank you.
They actually want to say thank you to you as well. If I may, there's one more bunch of flowers, and that is for you, Alana, from your team at DKMS Africa, with their love and thanks for all of your vision and leadership.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So okay, long distance one.
Lunch is served. Interviews for these tables and those tables, so we can just do those as they start. Thank you.
Sure.
Shalim gile
mame shalimgile mame ma yeah ape Africa Africa, where I ever been, where I ever passed, Sifunanina, Sensenina, Ape Africa, where I ever been, where I ever passed, Sifunanina, Sensenina, Ape Africa. Aw ixesha limgile sifuna nina senzeni na ape Africa. Ixesha limgile yo mama yeah ape Africa. Ixesha limgile oh mama yo nana be Africa Sifonanina, Senzenina, Ape Africa. Ixesha limgile, Sifonanina, Senzenina, Ape Africa.
So it's for the like I share it.
nakupenda malaika, malaika, nakupenda malaika, nani nifanye nje kijana mwenziwo, nashindwa na mali sina we, nakupenda malaika, nashindwa na mali sina we, nakupenda malaika. Mesa zasungua roho yangu, Mesa zasungua roho yangu, inegua madiwe, inegua dada, nashindwa na mali sina we, nakupenda malaika, nashindwa na mali sina we, nakupenda malaika. Yes, I love you, my angel. Yes, I love you, my angel. Hey. Yes, I love you, my angel. Diakutanda malaika, diakutanda malaika. Chandiwe wati indota zingomo zayo wa shutandiwe eti indota zingomo zayo dia mafuna bantana difuna namuzi amasiga guti akalengeleo Tandi eti indota zingomo zayo washutandiwe wati indota zingomo zayo washutandi tandi eti indota zingomo zayo dia bafuna bantwana tifuna nomuzi amasigo guti akalengileyo dia bafuna bantwana tifuna nomuzi amasigo guti akalengileyo washu tandi 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 Malaika, nakupenda malaika. Malaika, nakupenda malaika. Nani nifanyeje? Ijwana mwenzi wo, ashirwana malisi nawe. Nakupenda malaika, ashirwana malisi nawe. Nakupenda malaika. Yes, I love you, my angel. Yes, I love you, my angel. Diakutanda malaika, kiaurata malaika. Nakupenda malaika, nakupenda malaika. Nakupenda malaika. Nonsigi lilelanina, nonsigi lilelanina. Batiba kumangalele, batiba kumangalele. Boboy, dagana jilo jilo, boboy. Dagana njilo njilo, peteni ngomlomo wako, peteni ngomlomo wako. Nonsigi lilelanina, nonsigi lilelanina. Batiba kumangalele, batiba kumangalele. Oh boy, tangana njilo njilo. Oh boy, yo ma, tangana njilo njilo. Peteni ngomlomo wako, peteni ngomlomo wako. Hey. sukundimoshela ixesha sukundimoshela ixesha sukundimoshela ixesha sukundimoshela ixesha selivile nditikiwe selivile selivile nditikiwe selivile selivile nditikiwe selivile selivile nditikiwe selivile sukundimoshela ixesha sukundimoshela ixesha sukundimoshela ixesha sukundimoshela ixesha selivile nditikiwe selivile 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 ndiyahamba mna sukundinqanda ndiyahamba mna sukundinqanda ndiyahamba mna ibo sukundinqanda ndiyahamba mna ibo sukundinqanda ndiyahamba mna sukundinqanda ndiyahamba mna yo sukundinqanda ndiyahamba mna yo sukundinqanda ndiyahamba mna yebo sukundinqanda ndiyahamba mna asiwe saba mabutho ngoba sizingwe phezu komlambo weLimpopo asiwe saba mabutho ngoba sizingwe phezu komlambo weLimpopo sibuyembo sibuyembo ebusika sibasa malongwe sibuyembo mama sibuyembo ngeke ebusika sibasa malongwe asiwe saba mabutho sizingwe phezu komlambo weLimpopo yema asiwe saba mabutho sizingwe sibuyembo ebusika sibasa malongwe sibuyembo ebusika sibasa malongwe akholanga xa engekho kuba mnyama xa emkile akholanga xa engekho kumnyama xa emkile nanini ehambile akholanga xa engekho kuba mnyama xa emkile akholanga xa engekho kumnyama xa emkile lonke ixesha ehambile ndiyazi 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 ndiyayazi londona ndiyayazi londo ndiyayazi londo yeah ndiyazi 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 ndiyayazi londo yeah yo mama yeah and no sunshine when he's gone it ain't warm here when he's away ain't no sunshine when he's gone he's always gone too long anytime he goes away I know